Do you think it'd be fun if I did like a reveal? Like this week we talked about. No, I feel stupid just doing that. Welcome back to the Times Leader Beer Gang. Back again for another episode where we might find you your next favorite beer. Ben, why don't you tell us about this beer this week? Because you picked it.
It's the Pacifico Claro Mexican Pilsner. A real kind of summertime beer that was very popular, I feel like, this summer. I heard a lot about it and I was very interested in trying it.
Right. And it is interesting because it seems like this beer has had sort of resurgence in popularity, as you mentioned, but it's a pretty old beer, as Joe and myself found in our research. It was actually first introduced in the late 1800s, 1899 actually, made by Grupo Modelo. Well, they bought it in 1954, and Modelo, which also makes Modelo and Corona, was purchased by Anheuser-Busch in 2013. So this is sort of like a international sort of beer, obviously a Mexican-style Pilsner. What do we all think of it? Joe, I'll start with you.
Well, I just want to point out that Ben suggested that we try this beer. It was his choice, and he suggested we try a summer beer in October.
Yes.
So there's that. But no, I thought it was good. I don't know if it's a beer that I would necessarily go out and buy myself, but certainly if I was at a gathering, say a tailgate, and somebody offered me one, I'd be more than glad to take a few off their hands. It was good. Being it was a Mexican beer. The only other Mexican beer I'm really familiar with is Corona. So I was expecting something along those lines, but it's really a lot more flavorful than Corona. It's got a little bit more of a bite when you first start drinking it than Corona does, certainly. I enjoyed it, I guess I would say.
Right.
Yeah, so when I think of a Pilsner, the most popular one probably in America is Miller Lite.
Right. You always think of like those Miller Lights, Bud Lights, stuff like that.
And Miller Lite, what I really don't like too much about it is it doesn't have too much taste. And it's a light beer, I understand that. This had the taste that I felt like Miller Lite lacked.
Right. It's like a stronger Pilsner. And obviously since it's not a light beer, of course it would be. But you're right. It reminds me of something that you would want to drink just like a bunch of, just while you're like hanging out with people. But it has like a little bit stronger of a taste. Not so strong that it's overpowering, but you know, a good mix.
And in my defense for picking a summer beer in October, we were running out of time to do a summer beer.
That's a fair point. But if you guys want to fight, I don't want to sit between you.
I think we've already run out of time to do a summer beer. But I'll just...
Well, we were able to slip it in. I think it was all right.
But I absolutely really enjoyed this beer. Like Ben said, it has a nice medium sort of taste, I guess, is a good way to describe it. Like it's not so light that it's like a Miller Lite or, as Joe said, a Corona, but it is a little bit stronger, and it's good. You know, I give it a thumbs up.
The first thing I noticed about it, when you first drink it, it's got a pretty good amount of bitterness to it. It's got a pretty good bite, and then after you have a couple of drinks, the bitterness kind of either you get used to it or just kind of goes away, and it's a lot smoother.
Right.
Like it is a drinkable beer. I just don't know if it's something that you know is in my wheelhouse, so to speak.
Absolutely. Any final thoughts?
I am a fan. Again, it is October, so drinking this beer now may not be ideal, especially because, like Joe said, you're going to need to have a couple to knock off that bitterness.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's October, but if you're down going somewhere down south where it's a little warmer, I definitely recommend.
Absolutely. And I recommend it as well. So I think that'll do it for this week's episode of the Times Leader Beer Gang. We'll be back again next week with what might be your new favorite beer. And
I'd just like to remind everybody, if you enjoy the Beer Gang, consider subscribing to the Times Leader. You can do that by either going to timesleader.com or calling 570-829-5000. Next week, Ben will have us testing out slip and slides.